Right, I'm in the woods after squirrels again today, and I'm expecting it to be a pretty productive session. Now, I've not been able to shoot these woods for a while, and this is going to be my first session on a feeder that's getting a lot of attention. Now, it's loaded with peanuts, and over the last week or so they've been going down very quickly, which suggests that there are a lot of squirrels visiting it. Very quickly, in terms of the kit, I'm using the Daystate Red Wolf. Now, this gun's .22 caliber, producing just over 30 foot-pounds, which probably seems quite a powerful gun to use when targeting a feeding station, but there's also a chance of crows up in the treetops here, so I just wanted that extra reach in case that turns out to be the case. The scope is the usual MTC Mamba Light, and that's held on with Sports Match scope mounts. One change today, I'm using the Eagle Vision GoPro mount. That is just in the hope of getting some decent scope cam footage through the scope, just to get you as close to the action as possible. So that's what we're up to, that's the kit. I'm going to get into the hide and hopefully we'll get some squirrels. The squirrels are really on to this feeder, and as expected, today's first opportunity comes very quickly. That was a nice quick start. Now, I usually wait for squirrels to settle properly on the feeder, but that one definitely knew that we were here, so I didn't want to give it time to spook. I very handily, this gun, the zero, the initial zero is pretty much perfectly corresponding with where the feeder is, just over 20 meters away, so I just have to put the crosshairs where I want the pellet to strike and pull the trigger. There's no aim off required. It's a cold day, and the squirrels are clearly very eager to take advantage of the easy pickings on offer at the feeder. That one was more like it. Came in, took a peanut, settled on the feeder just as you'd want. Another really nice clean headshot, and it dropped like a stone. Oh, that one dangled for a bit, but as I say all the time, headshot squirrels do tend to clench up like that. It's just a nervous reaction. Now, looking through the scope and seeing how that one bled out, it was definitely walloped right through the brain box, so it really was lights out. I'm used to having to be very patient when shooting from a hide, but I'm not having to wait very long between shots today. The squirrels have been given plenty of time to home in on this feeder, and they are certainly confident around it. You can see that my hide is very basic, although the tree trunk and branches behind it make for a decent backdrop. It's been in place for a while now, and the squirrels really don't seem to be bothered by it. It's easy to see how effective feeding stations are for squirrel control when the bushy tails are dropping in as frequently as this, and here's another one desperately filling up on peanuts. It's getting busy around the feeder now. The birds are eager to pinch a peanut or two, but it's not easy for them to get a look in when the squirrels are turning up in pairs. Another cracking kill there. Now there were actually 2 squirrels showing an interest in the feeder then, so hopefully the other one will be back before too long. I really hope that you can see in the footage that through being patient, waiting for the squirrels to settle, and obviously also shooting from the support of sticks, it's just really easy for me to set up these very clean headshots, and the squirrels just don't know what's hitting them. Once again, we've got 2 squirrels around the feeding station. They really are coming thick and fast today. Another bit of a dangler there, and again there were 2 squirrels around the feeder at that time, so the bag is really starting to build now, but I'm pretty convinced that there is still more to be had. Well, I say we want clean kills, but I was worried for a moment that that one was going to be stuck on there. It had such a solid wallop that it was literally dead on the feeder. It did eventually drop off, so yeah, another really good one. Today's pellet of choice is Rangemaster Sovereign. They shoot well with the 30 foot-pound Red Wolf and aren't so prone to ricochet as heavier ammo. As I always say, pellet choice ultimately boils down to whatever your airgun shoots most accurately with. It's a longer wait between shots now, and with less squirrels around, the songbirds are finally getting a chance to dine at the feeder. But
we haven't seen the last of the bushy tails just yet.
Well, I think that one takes the tally up to 12, and we've actually only got scope cam footage for that one because the other two cameras that we've got trained on the feeder, the batteries have drained on them. We've been here for about 3 hours now, and I think with the batteries going and also the shooting has slowed down quite significantly, seems like a good time to wrap it up. But I think the important thing is just the number of squirrels that we've shot in a relatively short space of time just shows how many there probably are in the vicinity and the potential damage that they can do. Now, not only the damage that they cause to trees through their bark stripping, but also outcompeting the native wildlife for food, and also through stealing chicks and eggs from songbirds' nests. So there really is a huge potential for damage. So once I've picked them up, the final job will be to refill the feeder, and I'll be back again for more squirrels very soon. Plenty of squirrels brought to book there, and no doubt plenty more to come. Next up, let's take a look back over some of our highlights from 2020. It's that time when we look back on some of the highlights from the previous year. Now, let's face it, 2020 wasn't really a great vintage for most of us, but at least in general we were able to get out and do a bit of shooting. So I'm going to look at some of my airgun show highlights from the past year, and I'm kicking off with a shot from a recent crow shoot because it's so difficult to catch these crafty birds on camera.
We're dealing with wary birds here today, but they're desperate to get back onto that seed drill, and it's not long before one pitches into the city tree.
Well, that was a lovely start. Sticking with the hide shooting and crop protection theme, let's hand over to Andy Watkins during a cracking day on the pigeons.
Gonna go for a hot and long shot.
Over to Richard Saunders now, and it's another pigeon. This one really sticks in my mind because Rich didn't know the pigeon was there until it was pointed out to him.
Richard hasn't noticed that a pigeon has just pitched in. Thankfully, his mate has clocked it and points it out to him.
That was a brilliant pest control session for Rich, and he also managed to make some great shots on rabbits. Here's one of them, captured on scope cam and with loads of holdover. The summer feels like an absolute age ago now, but it gave me some fantastic rabbit shooting last year. Here's another one captured on scope cam.
Rabbits tend to venture out when the temperature drops towards the end of the day during the summer months. They certainly seem keen to get above ground and tuck into the grass as the light fades this evening.
Just like crows, magpies are always tricky to nail in front of the cameras. Andy manages to do it more than most, and here's one of them.
Andy just needs the magpie to settle where it offers a safe shot, without the horses behind it.
Andy's showing us the way there. Now, I absolutely love my rat shooting. It's usually best in the winter, but here are a few from an unusually busy session in the summer when they were absolutely queuing up. There's no denying that night vision gear is a big advantage when hunting after dark, but that said, you don't have to spend a fortune to do some decent nighttime ratting. I had a fantastic time doing it the traditional way with a spring gun and lamp. One pest that we're often asked to control is the grey squirrel, because this pest just does so much destruction to trees and other wildlife. Nothing beats a feeding station when it comes to shooting them in numbers, and here's another one paying the price for its fondness for peanuts. As effective as feeding stations are, it's often more enjoyable simply hunting on the move. Now, autumn is my favourite time of year to target grey squirrels in this way. This next one was too distracted by the acorn banquet to hear us coming through the woods.